normalize. She came to chase a dream. Where many have walked before. Fallen hopes, faded dreams. Somebody just shut the door in her face. In a golden city. Ooh, life is tricky, tricky, tricky. Normalize mntakwethu particularly kuni kulelizwe. Normalize kuli kuni lapha ekhaya. Normalize mntakwethu bathi kuyabuye kulunge. Bawo kuzobuye kulunge mntakwethu. There was a time when this whole land, it was a village. We eat together, we love together, every man and brother. That was then. It's so very different in a golden city. Ooh, life is tricky, tricky, tricky. Normalize mntakwethu particularly kuni kulelizwe. Normalize kuli kuni lapha ekhaya. Normalize mntakwethu bathi kuyabuye kulunge. Bawo kuzobuye kulunge mntakwethu. Give me that old time feeling, give it back. I want it back. Give me that old time feeling, give it back. Said I want it back, I want it back. Give me that old time feeling, give it back. I want it back, I want it back. Give it back to me, give me, and then give me that old time feeling. Are you gonna sing? Are you gonna sing this with me? I want it back, I want it back. Give me that old time feeling. I want it back, I want it back. Give me that old time feeling. Give it back. I want it. Said I want it back. And then they give me that old time feeling. Give it back. That's what you say. I want it back. 1 and 2. You say, give me that old time feeling. Give it back. I want it back. Let's do it. Give me that old time feeling. I want it back. Give it back to me. Give me that old time feeling. Give it back to me. Give it back to me. Give me that old time feeling. Oh, give it back to me. Give it back to me. Say, give me that old time feeling. Give it back to me. Give it back to me. Last time. Give me that old time feeling. Give it back to me. Give me that and give me that old time and a feeling. I said I want it back, babe. Give it back to me. Give me that old time feeling. Give it back to me. No malizo mtakwetu patikule kuni kulelize. No malizo kuli kuni la pekaya. No malizo mtakwetu patikuya buye kulunge. Bawo kuzobuye kulunge mdakweti. All right. Thank you very much. The name of that song is called Nomalizo by Mamule Tamboli. One of the people that inspire me, that have shaped me, the reason why I am this, I don't want to say it because I don't want to blow that horn. Should I blow that horn? Should I blow that horn? The reason why I'm this good is because I checked such people. All right. All right, the next song is called China Chino Funk, taken from my album. My album is called Nobakiti. You can get it on all digital platforms, Google Play, iTunes. The name of the album is called Nobakiti. And the song I'm going to do right now is called China Chino Funk, nonsensical syllables. It's what I keep on explaining to the people because I don't really know what I'm also saying. But when you have a gift and then, they say, hey, sometimes you don't even want to question when your ancestors are like, hey, we are giving you this gift. Here's something. Because I also don't know what I'm saying there, but it's beautiful nonsense. I'm not even going to say, what is this that I'm saying? But to explain it nicely, I'm scatting there. But I believe that it's just a scat that because I don't understand that scat. It's nonsensical syllables. So it's called China Chino Funk. Because you don't know. You won't even know what I'm saying also. But you're going to have fun. We pop fell, be the battle, the father little ladder, satin the vibe. You see, I'm sure you don't understand. The beep pop, the ladder, the beep pop, the feet the father, la 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 la, bum bum po. The weep pop, be the bubble, papa, beep, 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 pado, lado, 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 oh, babe, oh, oh, do little, What the father, father, lead down, then the little sound down the door, the open, the open. Side of the bill. Father, the bow, the little open. Hey. Todos esses uma blusa on keys. Beautiful song, China Chino Funk. China Chino Funk. And the next one is called No Bagiti, also taken from my album. But I will perform this one when I come back. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Once again, music has had the power to hold us intact, to mesmerize us. As we start this program, please Give another round of applause to Asanda Mqiki, just jazzing us up right there. My name is Natalia Mulebatsi, and what an honor and a privilege it is for me to navigate you through this program as we launch the Nelson Mandela University DSI NRF SARChi in African Feminist Imagination. And as you can see, part or mostly this program is going to be joined by people who are committed to gender equity, to gender equality, and to feminist thought, to Black feminist thought. So welcome. And these people also remind us that we are God's bits of wonder. Dreams are infinite where we are. So welcome to the land of yes, where dreams are molded and mounted here. I greet you in the beauty of our ancestors. We are the evidence that they were here. A woman said once that our lives are carriers of loss and joy, of grief and laughter, of the past that is yet to come. When we remember what we have lost, we also are reminded of the magnitude, the magic that we the surviving, the living, the surviving, and the thriving, the conjured and the conjuring and the reckoning. We are the raptured and the desire to repair the rapture. We, the evidence of those who open the doors of a world that was never, that will never be ready for our kind. But now we are ready. We are ready for our kind. Dear friends, dear colleagues, me welcome our beauty. This is the person who's going to open the floodgates for the joy that we are here to celebrate. I hope all of you are here with us. I hope all of you can hear me as I welcome Professor at the Nelson Mandela University to give us an opening and a welcome.
Thank you so much, Natalia, for that very inspiring opening, actually, which is, I suppose, makes my job quite easy. I want to greet all the colleagues that are here at the venue and everyone that is watching and participating on at this event from all the places around the world and around our country. Friends of the university, staff, students, community members, and everyone that is watching on the platform. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our Chancellor of Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi, who is participating in this session, the Chairperson of Council, Ambassador Nozipho January Badil, members of the Nelson Mandela University Council who are attending the event, members of management and leadership. I see my colleagues here, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, Professor Andre Kiet, Dr. Thandi Mgwebi, and I'm sure our other Vice Chancellors are also attending on the platform, but they are not on this venue. The Deans of Faculty, I would like in particular to single out Professor Pem Maseko, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, all the professors, the academics, the head of entities, and all the colleagues, the scholars that are in this session, all the participants, and as I've said, all our staff and our students from sister universities, and all our collaborators around the globe. I particularly wish to welcome our chair, my favorite professor in African feminist imagination, Professor Phumla Dineo-Qola, her colleagues from Wits University, first Professor Grace Musila and Professor Barbara Boswell from UCT. I know that both of these colleagues will be introduced officially during the program. Today we launched the Nelson Mandela University Department of Science and Innovation NRF Chair in African Feminist Imagination, together with the launch of the book Miriam Tladi, Writing Freedom, written by the incumbent, the chair, Professor Phumla Dineo-Qola. There have been many markers along the way since 2018 at our university that demonstrate our vision. The year 2018 itself was a busy year for me and the rest of the university, in which we celebrated the centenary year of Mandela's life through a number of initiatives that signaled our intention to be that university in service of society, and it marked our shift in scholarship towards a more definitive social justice angle. The launch of the chair in critical studies in higher education transformation, which is occupied by our DVC, was a highlight for us. Subsequently, the chair in identities and social cohesion in Africa, followed by the launch of the Center for Women and Gender Studies, have been among the highlights in recent times in our university, even though they are not the only highlights, but I thought these are relevant for today to mention. The deepening of the transdisciplinary focus under the umbrella and platform of Transdisciplinary Institute for Mandela Studies have been refreshing and hugely encouraging, as are all the initiatives that have been led by our various scholars here at Mandela and our intellectual collaborators at large. These have all served to advance our stance as a university that is anchored, a university that is placed. Today, this launch of this chair certainly represents a key highlight, a high point in my view, and something that we are really very proud of. This is not only because the formulation of this chair is deeply rooted in our project of decolonizing knowledge by focusing on African feminist imaginations, but because it is intrinsically tied to our strategic imperatives of revitalization of humanities, the development of intellectual cultures based on African thought, the redrawing of the boundaries between humanities and science, as well as the transdisciplinary focus, as I have already indicated. Our broader transformation project as a university is deeply rooted on these ideals. Though located at our university, the chair is intrinsically bound to the national, regional, continental, and global endeavor for Africa to right herself, as exemplified in the life and work in front of us today, the work of Miriam Tladi. Professor Phumla Qola, an intellectual and scholar of international standing, analyzes the work in front of us in a perceptive and insightful way, disclosing to us that writing freedom has been the central vocation of Miriam Tladi's body of work, and with relevance for our current work on the social. The sensitivity and empathy with which the work of Tladi is positioned by Qola and analyzed speak poignantly to many women of our generation and accentuates the cause of many resistance scholars to push back against erasure. The articulation of a dubious honor of being elevated as the first woman anything is for me resonant and is something that has often placed women in a position of vulnerability and isolation and in need of constant validation. The twin launch of the chair and the book is not a matter of coincidence for us, but it is an artful expression of how the chair will be taking shape over the next few years. It is a way in which the chair is signposting herself. The chair adds weight and gravitas to the work of the Center for Women and Gender Studies, an outfit close to my heart, which has proven itself over the past 18 months, beyond any doubt, colleagues, to have captured the scholarly imagination in its field of studies. The center has also ensured, for me, that the aspiration that was long deferred in this university could so decisively and with great focus fill the void of a courageous discourse in gender studies, a field which has often been poorly articulated in the mainstream academic priorities of many of our institutions in this country in particular. At Nelson Mandela University, we have a vision to make a decisive scholarly contribution to changing the world through the improvement of the human condition. This requires confronting the challenges of inequality, gender power, violence, and discrimination in different sectors of our society. To do so, we must ask the right, difficult, and sometimes counterintuitive questions that not only help us better understand what we are confronting, but also enable us to imagine the freer society and world we want to create and live in. The chair aims to shine a light on and illuminate existing archive of African feminist thought and creative traditions. We need clearer education on this existing archive and amplification of the insights this body of work may reveal, even when applied innovatively to enduring questions of our time. This also involves expanding African feminist vocabularies, which are absent in many of our writings. Perhaps this dual process, revisiting old, obscured knowledge while generating theory, is part of what we mean when we speak of African approaches for our context. Yet such knowledge is just as useful and crucial for reading and interpreting the world at large. It is with great excitement that we are looking forward to the explosive intellectual connection between the chair and the center and the Faculty of Humanities in a manner, Professor Maseko, that will permeate the university as a whole, as an institution. I wish to congratulate the relevant entities and people who have contributed to making this possible for our university. The research, innovation, and internationalization portfolio under the leadership of the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Mgwebi, the Engagement and Transformation Portfolio under the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Professor Kiet, and the colleagues within the Center for Women and Gender Studies, the faculty. I also wish to acknowledge and thank the National Research Foundation for entrusting us, Nelson Mandela University, with this bold and forward-looking academic project. Phumla Qola, as an intellectual, is incomparable in the field of African feminism and literary studies. As an academic activist and public scholar of note, she has already proven herself. The defining feature of her work, which has been consistently noted by many who have followed her growing and impressive body of work, is its capacity to marry intellectual rigor with accessibility. Her capacity for compassion and empathy, an unfailing courage to walk into difficult spaces and excavate what has been to influence and inform what could be, is a defining feature of her work. As a person, Phumla, your ability to keep your feet firmly on the ground and your capacity for self-understanding and your courage of conviction that permeates your craft is what continues to set you apart. I wish you only the very best with what is already a brilliant career. We are only too proud as Nelson Mandela University with the proximity. Colleagues, you are very welcome today. Thank you.
So much, Shamutwa, for welcoming us, for shining your light on us. And I'm very sure that now that you've welcomed us, we're not even going to have these technological, virtual glitches. We are indeed writing, and we are riding freedom. So for now, we are going to just take a little journey around the chairs and research at Nelson Mandela University. And please help me welcome Dr. Tandi Mgwebi, who's the station at Nelson Mandela University. Please sit back and enjoy this journey.
The act of the year, taking off your mask. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon to our Chair of Council, to the VC, and all the colleagues, and to all the colleagues who are with us online, and particularly to you who are here to support us in launching these very important research chairs. After what the VC has said, I don't know what to say. I think she has said everything so eloquently. So I'm actually not even wanting to speak, VC, but I will because I'm in the program, and I would like to say something to Phumla. Phumla, the research chairs at Nelson Mandela University are no different from global research chairs. The concept of research chairs in the world just means that we've got intellectual capacity at a different level that can support research for impact. Not just for impact for society, but also for developing young researchers who can take the baton and lead.
In the continent of Africa, the research chairs are also associated with centers of excellence. So a research chair by itself is, in fact, can culminate. It's actually a center of excellence. And in South Africa, since the establishment of the South African Research Chairs Initiative in 2006 by the then Department of Science and Technology, the research chairs have become the premier instrument, funding instrument for universities to support their development and training of postgraduate students. How the research chairs at the National Research Foundation were conceptualized, it was actually because of lack of capacity at universities that was concerning. And the idea was to get international scholars and people in the diaspora to come back to South Africa and contribute in a way that's flexible enough to allow working in countries of their choice, but also contributing to South Africa. The evolution of the Research Chairs program has now resulted in research chairs being established at universities. We've always had at universities in South Africa recruiting people from our own universities. And as you know, we've got tier 1 and tier 2 research chairs at different levels. And by the way, we do consider you as our tier 1 research chair. I don't know what the NRF's problem was with giving us a tier 1, but this is within our own university an equivalent and even more of a tier 1 research chair. The most important thing of the research chairs is also a platform for developing opportunities for emerging scholars. So I would urge you that as you progress developing your own scholarship and contributing to global scholarship, you do not forget emerging young researchers. You are young yourself, but you're actually not young in research. And we do regard and look up to you to develop the young scholars. While I'm talking about the SARChi program, I do want to acknowledge the NRF team who are with us online. I know Dr. Gansen Pillay, who's the Deputy CEO, was planning to come. I don't know if he joined. And his team, Dr. Romila Maharaj, and all the members of the SARChi management team at the NRF. We have 16 research chairs at Nelson Mandela University, and it's a combination of a partnership with industry, the NRF endowed chairs, and the South African research chairs, those that fall within the South African Research Chairs Initiative. The chair we are launching now is quite timely and deserving for such a towering young but experienced scholar, as you've heard. And it comes at a critical time in the African Academy, where feminist scholarship is under scrutiny and coming up with creative answers to the wide-ranging challenges facing women and children in society. And I see the role of this chair as we deepen our work in sustainable development. I see it as cross-cutting. In fact, one day I may ask you, Pumla, to go and give a lecture within a theoretical physics group of students, because that's how cross-cutting these issues are, from agriculture to chemistry. So across all disciplines, I think we need this kind of infusion. We thank you for choosing Nelson Mandela University for advancing global scholarship and teaching social justice. And I would also like to thank research support at Nelson Mandela University from the early days of developing this proposal up to the submission, and also the current support of the research chair. We've got people who are looking after you, and our doors are always welcome to support. We do understand that chairs require some kind of flexibility because of postgraduate training is not lenient, and there are various issues that need to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. On that note, Pumla, thank you very much once again, and congratulations, and we look forward to the 5-year review of the chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Mgwebi, for giving us that context. And it reminds us of the really hard work that goes into this work, that goes into these spaces. Kuyashuba ke manje. I hope that your seatbelt is on. If it is not, please put it on, because we are traveling again, and we are going to introduce our speakers for this afternoon. Please help me welcome Professor Pamela Maseko, the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Humanities.
Molweni, Diabolisa, greetings. The Chancellor, the Chairperson of Council who are here, are watching online, the VC present here, the DVCs, and the rest of the university management, the speakers at this great occasion who I'm about to introduce, delegates who are here and who are also watching on different platforms. Most importantly, Usingai Upumla Gola. I don't want to repeat what you said, Prof, about being the favorite professor, but you know, I'm representing the faculty, Prof. So greetings, and let me, just before I introduce the speakers, just to congratulate Prof. Gola and add on to what Dr. Mgwebi said, that we were really privileged that you chose us to really run with this important scholarship in the faculty, in the university and the rest of the country and the world. It's so important that we're able to have you here and add value to what we're seeking to do in the humanities faculty. So thank you very much. Let me just do the task that I am asked to do here to introduce the different speakers. I start with Prof. Grace Musila. Prof. Grace Musila is Associate Professor of African Literature at the University of Witwatersrand and was previously at the English Department at Stellenbosch University. Her research focuses on Eastern and Southern African literatures, African feminisms, biography, African pop culture, African intellectual archives, and post-colonial whiteness in Africa. She is co-editor of Rethinking Eastern African Intellectual Landscapes, author of A Death Retold in Truth and Rumor, Kenya, Britain, and the Julie Ward Murder, which explores Kenyan and British interpretations of the 1988 murder of British tourist Julie N. Ward in Masai Mara Game Reserve in Kenya. Her most recent book, Wangari Maathai's Registers of Freedom, locates the Kenyan Nobel laureate and ecofeminist within the critical archive of theorists of liberation. A highly influential scholar who sits on the editorial boards of the leading African studies, literary and cultural studies journals, Prof. Musila is on the board of the Cluster of Excellence 2052, Reconfiguring African Studies, currently hosted by Germany's Bayreuth University. The editorial board of the Contemporary Journal of African Studies, hosted by the Institute of African Studies at the University of Ghana since 1969, is the editor-at-large of the Journal of African Cultural Studies, is the co-founder of the East African Literary and Cultural Studies Conference Series, and will soon be joining the Trinity College of Arts and Sciences at Duke University in the US. We welcome you, Prof, as well, and we hope that even though you're moving to the US, we will still be able to maintain these networks. The second speaker is Professor Barbara Boswell, and is Associate Professor and Head of the English Department at the University of Cape Town, and was previously at the English department at the University of the Witwatersrand, and English and ACLS fellow at the Carter G. Woodson Institute for African American and African Studies at the University of Virginia in the US. She holds a PhD from the University of Maryland. The literary activist and prolific scholar on South African and African American women writers. She has published extensively on Black women poetry collectives, African feminist literary archives, Black feminist theory, and gender and sexuality. Her debut novel, Grace, published by Mujaji in South Africa, and as Unmaking Grace, published by Catalyst Press in the US, won the 2017 UJ Prize of South African Writing. Her most recent book, And Wrote My Story Anyway, Black South African Women's Novels as Feminisms, traces feminist creative theorization in the novels of 4 generations of pioneering Black South African novelists. In novels she calls a series of firsts, whilst also inaugurating traditions of literary investigation, which will become indispensable for feminist literary inquiry and literary history. Her forthcoming book is a literary biography of Loretta Ngcobo, the South African feminist author whose pioneering literary activism straddled South Africa and Black British realms in the 70s and 80s. Our last speaker is Professor Phumla Dineo Gola. She is the Mandela NRF SARChi Chair in African Feminist Imaginations at Nelson Mandela University, our university. She's a graduate of the Universities of Cape Town and Warwick and holds a doctorate in post-colonial studies from the University of Munich. She has been a senior lecturer in the English department at the University of the Free State, chief research specialist in societies, cultures, and identities at the Human Sciences Research Council, a Ruth First Fellow and full professor in the Department of African Literature at the University of Witwatersrand. Gola co-edited Discourses on Difference, Discourses on Oppression in 2002, is the editor of Miriam Tladi, Writing Freedom, published by the SARChi Press in 2021, the book we're launching today, and has authored and pioneered a study on South African slave memory post-apartheid. What is Slavery to Me? Post-colonial slave memory in post-apartheid South Africa, published by Wits in 2010. And also the influential Alan Payton Nonfiction Award winner, Rape, a South African Nightmare. We still remember that one. Her other books are A Renegade called Simpiwe, published in 2013, and the best-selling Reflecting Rogue, Inside the Mind of a Feminist, published in 2017, both published by Melinda Ferguson and Jacana. Such, it's, I don't know what to call it, accomplishment, and we're really privileged, Phumla. I've not finished. Her publications are on African feminist and post-colonial literature and visual arts, gender in Black consciousness literature, violence against women, post-apartheid public culture, and literary representations of slavery in the African world. She has been the inaugural chair of judges of the Etisalat Literature Prize, the first Pan-African, fully African-funded literature award, the inaugural chair of judges for fiction of the National Institute for the Humanities and Social Sciences, who are also our strategic partner, and has been a judge on the Commonwealth Writers' Prize. She's a member of various editorial boards of journals and literature, feminist studies and African studies, as well as other disciplinary bodies. Gola is on the board of trustees of the African Feminist Strategic Litigation Firm, the Women's Legal Center, and is outgoing member of the SARChi Press editorial board, and has served previously on boards of the Center of Violence and Reconciliation and the 1 in 9 campaign. She serves on the Ministerial Task Team on Sexual Harassment at South African University. Gola is a member of the Gender and Women's Studies for Africa's Transformation. We are privileged to have the speakers here and Prof. Gola here amongst us. At this momentous occasion for Mandela and for African feminist scholarship. And I'm certain that all of us are on the edge of our seats, and you probably want me to get off the stage and get this occasion started. Thank you very much. Ndiyabulela kakhulu.
Thank you so much, Professor Maseko. Oh, Professor Maseko, when she said our university while speaking about Professor Gola, I would do the same too. Once again, thank you so much for introducing our speakers and just rubbing it in, reminding us of the kind of people they are in the academy, the kind of work that they continue to produce. Colleagues, friends, please, let's give the podium to the incomparable Professor Grace Musila.
And I'll just start by sharing my screen before I continue. I hope the technology will cooperate because okay, apparently it's not cooperating. So could I ask if colleagues on the ground are able to share my slides, and I'll just start all the same, and then hopefully if you're able to share my slides for me. I've had to switch devices because ESCOM happened and interrupted my internet connectivity. So if we could try, that would be helpful, please. Okay, maybe to save us time, I'm going to start speaking, and then presumably if the colleagues on the ground are able to share my slide, then I'll be able to fall into whichever spot we find ourselves at. So first of all, just greetings everybody, and thank you very much for joining us today. And so the Vice Chancellor, Professor Sibongile Mutua, DVC Research, Innovation and Internationalization, Professor Thandi Mgwebi, DVC Engagement and Transformation, Professor Andre Kiet, Dean Faculty of Humanities, Professor Pamela Masego, our main host for today, Professor Pumladine Otola, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends. I'm excited to be here today as we launch the first SARChi chair in African feminist imagination. And the very existence, to my mind at least, the very existence of this chair is an acknowledgement of the powerful role African feminist imaginative thought plays in shaping our realities. And I'm glad to note that the program includes music and poetry performances as we go along. So my task today is to contextualize the SARChi chair's place in the African Academy. And this task is both simple and difficult. The simple part is that I believe majority of our guests today are African and or feminists. So we're more or less on the same page about the value of at least the African and the feminist part of the chair. The difficult part is the imagination. In a world that privileges the STEM disciplines, the humanities is often treated like a stepchild in the knowledge production landscape. And to complicate matters, the genres of the imagination, that is literature, visual arts, performance arts, and other art forms, are assumed to be transparent because they form part of our everyday life. And it's this misrecognition of imaginative work as transparent and therefore of low value that I would like to think a bit about today. So I'd like to start us off with a letter that was published to the Dear Sister Lee advice column of the Drum magazine in January 1965. And it's a shame we don't have the slides up